Welcome to an incomplete guide to personal growth. We invite you to take a breath and take a listen to our podcast that explores the wonder, humor, challenges, and sometimes those self-inflicted wounds on the journey of personal growth.
Our weekly podcast conversations include stories, resources, and tools that you can incorporate into your daily life. We're the mother-daughter duo of Sydney West
and Kelly Arundel.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, Sydney.
I know we seem a little breathless today.
I know. It's a pretty busy morning.
Yeah, it has been a busy morning. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, the only time I ever liked grocery shopping was when you all were little.
Yeah.
And I would leave you at home.
Oh.
It was my way to get away,
out.
and Paul would watch you, right?
Yeah. And then once we got old enough, I remember you never liked going grocery shopping.
I'm just not,
Yeah.
and so I was so thrilled with COVID happening, or not, I wouldn't throw a COVID happen, but the grocery pickup suddenly was
so much more
prevalent.
accessible.
Like, wow, this is great. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, you never went in anymore.
And then Charles comes along.
Oh my gosh, this child.
And
so funny.
First thing in the morning, EB
Always.
Wants to go to HEB.
All the
grocery store around here, right?
Yeah.
And so the two things that every time you go to the grocery store, that when you walk in, they have the
breeze. To keep the bugs out or whatever.
It's a wind that just
wind
blows
tunnel.
your hair.
Loves
and if you have
it.
like Marion, that's not what you want. And he loves it. So we have to stand under the vent.
Yes, and
so
he just has to feel it. He goes, breeze.
Yeah. So now I have to go to the grocery store and stand
deal
under
with
the breeze.
The two things you hate the most.
Right? And it's like,
I know.
Somebody's laughing.
Somebody
is laughing because
so funny.
That's not my thing.
No. And so we have to choose are we going to go to HEB today? Are we going to do this tomorrow? Or when are we going to do?
Yeah. When does he want to go?
Yes. Oh man. That boy.
Yeah, that's something.
Yep. His two favorite things.
Yeah, his two favorite are my two least.
Yes. Oh, funny how that works.
But you go and do it.
So we're continuing this week.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of our monthly theme, dealing with personal growth. It's hard, control, how to deal with your life.
When things don't go as planned.
Yeah, when things don't happen the way that you want them to.
Yeah.
So, letting go of control is this week's theme. And you had some trouble with it, which is fine because I agree. It's like control has a lot of different meanings. What do you have control over? And a lot of different avenues we could go down.
Mm-hmm.
So we're sticking with the things don't go as planned. How does letting go of control help you with that? What are,
what
that
can
type
you
of
control?
aspect.
And
yes, that type of aspect of control. So I wanted to kind of give a little bit of background because the idea of control, and it's literally psychologically based, like humans, we have, it's an adaptation that we developed in our brains, and other animals have done it too,
right?
That we can control our environment. It's a milestone too when kids are able to see, oh, I do this and it has an effect. Like controlling your environment is a psychological adaptation for us,
right?
And it helps our well-being to believe that we can control our lives, and a lot of times there's this disruption in the perception of your control can damage your mental health. It's how some depression happens, how some anxiety happens. You feel this overwhelm, like life, you can't deal with it, And so the absence and the belief of control can be detrimental. And we enjoy having choice. That's a big aspect of it, is when life gets too overwhelming, it feels like we have no choice. Everything, we can't decide on anything. It's being chosen for us. And all of this comes from an article that kind of examined a lot of this literature called Born to Choose, the origins and values of the need for control. And so we can link it. But it's a very interesting article on how biologically we need choice. We need this illusion of control in our lives. But then it can also get out of hand. And I think this is kind of where we're going with it. It's like, okay, it gets to a point where you feel like you can't, life is out of control. You can't control it. How do you get your mind back at a sense of ease, back at a belief of, okay, it may feel uncontrollable right now, but I can still find some peace in that. And there are choices for peace and that sort of stuff.
Yes.
So it is a biological need. So don't think, oh, I really can't control anything and I need to be okay with that. You don't have to be okay with that, but there are ways to cope in life,
And you, when it interrupts your life and stops you from doing some things or whatever, when there's an interruption of your life so great with control issues, that's where help is. There's a lot of help out there.
Yes.
And so we are not in that realm. We're just talking about our experiences.
Yes.
So there's definitely
there is help out there.
And there's
So disclaimer there.
Knowing there's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Because we all feel we don't have control at certain times.
Right.
Because we don't.
Yes. So jumping right into some questions.
Okay.
So when life starts to go unplanned, which we talked about in a couple podcasts ago, life goes in an unplanned direction. What is one of the first things we can do to help our state of mind?
Oh, I don't know. No, I'm just teasing.
Do not tell me that. You should have reasoned.
No. I think about that, and part of it is the pause.
Yeah.
I know I tend to get into a fix-it mode. Mm-hmm. And my fix-its aren't necessarily for the best.
Yeah.
To be able to pause and go, okay, taking a breath. What is really happening? Mm-hmm. What are my choices?
Yeah.
Because I think the word control, right? Yeah. Control is like I'm going to steer it and influence it in this direction.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's necessary, sometimes that's fine. Mm-hmm. But other times it's, wait, let me look at the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because tunnel vision will happen and I'm just going to get and fix it. And then I realize, oh, that wasn't what was needed.
Yeah.
And so there's
taking
this pause.
Yeah.
And going, okay, let's look at the situation. What are my choices? Mm-hmm. Do I need to influence the situation? Do I need to steer it? Maybe I do.
Yeah, so that is kind of my next question. Okay, so we have the pause, and then what choices can we be making when we feel like we have no choice and life is just happening?
Okay. There's two things I was going to touch on with.
Yeah.
One is there's a study, and I will link this to Diane Dreyer. It has an article out, and that we do need that sense of control that you talked about. And they did some studies, and people that felt like their locus of control was within them, and then there's people that believe that it's all external.
Interesting.
And those that believed it was all external had more anxiety and depression and less that they could do because it's the world happening to me versus this is life.
Right.
But I have a say in how I address it. Mm-hmm. So, that's part of that.
Yeah.
What'd you ask me? See, I get lost.
No, you're good. What choices can we make when it seems like we have no choice?
Well, the choices are, what's my attitude? That's one of the first things is, what is my attitude toward this?
Yeah.
What,
and you can be angry, you can be, upset, but you can choose to try and find some contentness.
Yeah.
You can try,
because I can't control what other people's response. I was in an interview for a church job early on in my career, and it was a large downtown church, and I did not get the job. Oh. And later was told it was because I was female.
Oh my God.
So I don't have any control over that in that situation.
Yeah.
This is years ago too. But I had no control over that.
Right.
I went into another interview for another church, large church, and I got some weird sexist questions.
Yeah.
But I just kept answering. And I ended up getting the job.
Yeah.
I learned later that there were several people that were really hesitant to hire me because I was female. And some of those people ended up being my biggest supporters.
Crazy.
I can't control their thoughts or what they think of me. I do me, and they either get with me or they don't.
Yeah.
And that I can't control that. So I can just
be you.
Be me.
Yeah.
And do the best I can.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a situation I had no control over. And I could have got, railed at the church. I could have done whatever. At that point in time, it would not have done.
Yeah. Wouldn't have helped. Yeah.
The point is that I don't have control, and there are people like that all the time.
Yeah.
And there are some in places now, in certain places, in most places of employment, there are ways to combat that.
Yes. Yeah.
But this was church, and it was back different. But I didn't have control.
Right.
Right? And yes, so I sat and I cried because I was going to be stuck at this other place for a while. And so, but it was okay.
Yeah.
I will move forward, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't, I love this one. The thoughts that pop into our head.
Yes.
How we can't control the pop, but we can control what we do with them.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm going to have those thoughts. And I'm going to have, well, this stinks. The world's against me. I'm never going to. Or I cannot. I'll give another example of not being in control and not in responses to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things this was a couple Christmases ago, and there was a family crisis, let's call it, and I needed to get to another city.
Yeah.
In short order.
Yeah.
So, of course, it was Christmas, so they were pretty much booked.
Yeah.
So, I was in a panic, but Paul, let's take a minute.
Yeah.
Well, there were no flights out of San Antonio to the city, and
But there was.
But he said, well, there's another airport not too far. Let's look.
Yeah.
And so we went to the Austin airport, and there was a direct flight, and I was able to get on it. I get to the airport, and it was the Christmas when all the airlines were struggling, and Southwest especially, and that was my flight. And so I sat there, and all of a sudden, we have no flight for this.
Or flight attendant.
Flight crew.
Crew,
or attendants for this flight, so we're really delayed. Meanwhile, I'm receiving text on the other end going, counting the hours, this is really bad. Okay, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Well, I was watching, I could get real anxious. But what came to me is there was a koan that I'd been looking at not long ago, and before that, and it was a solitary boat proceeds unaided in the bright moonlight. Oh. I turned and looked to see that the reeds on the ancient shore do not sway. And why that popped up, I don't know, but it began to calm me. Because I thought, there are movements that I don't know about.
Right.
I can't control what's happening with the pilots or the stewardesses or the airplanes or anything else. But I'm going to trust that somehow all these other people are in the same boat I am.
Yeah.
And I'm going to trust that people on the other end are going to be okay.
Yep.
And I'm going to trust that I'm going to be okay because I can't do anything about this. And if I get more anxious and get angrier,
it doesn't help.
I've watched what that man over there is doing with his anger, and it's not good, and it's not helping. So there's, so I had to find a calm place and trust that I can't do anything there, and I can't do anything here, but I'm going to.
And then you got super lucky.
And by golly, if I didn't all of a sudden see all these, by golly, what is that?
I know, what is
that?
Did
I see all these, a couple flight crew come to the plane.
And they're coming to help out.
And we heard, they were coming from another flight that was having some problems, and they'd cancel that flight, so they volunteered to take over this other flight.
Crazy. Yeah.
And they didn't have to.
No.
Yeah. And it was just, so it's like, not everything always works out that way. No, you can be stuck at an airport overnight. Plenty are. And I've done that too. But, but it's what can I control?
Yeah. You can control your reaction.
I can control my reaction and find another place, another way.
Yeah. That's so good. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how, because the thought that we have no control sounds so overwhelming.
Doesn't it?
So how do you come to terms with it?
We do have, and maybe it's the term control.
Maybe,
we do have choices.
Yeah.
And choices lead to some form of control.
Yeah.
I can't control another driver. I cannot control my boss. I cannot control my children. I cannot control, there's a lot. But I have choices of how I interact. Yeah. I have choices of attitude. My feelings, I don't always have a choice. They come up, but I do have the choice of what to do with it. I can be devastated. I can lay in my bed. I can cry. I can just sit in solitude feeling alone. I can lash out. I have all these feelings, and every one of them are valid. Everyone counts because they're telling me something.
Right.
But then I have the choice as to what I'm going to do with it. I can hit a pillow, or I can hit a wall.
Yeah.
I can do, it's just, these are real.
They are.
When you come to these places.
Yeah.
And so those are the choices we have.
Yeah.
And that feels more like the word control.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's unfolding. And I bet everybody can think of a situation where they really wanted something to happen and they were forcing it. It's forcing a circle into a square.
Yeah.
And you're forcing it and forcing it. And then finally you just go, I can't do that. And you watch something else unfold and you're like, wow, I never would have seen my life going this way.
Yeah.
I would have never seen me doing this. Right. But look at me now.
Yeah. So you talking about all this, it can be this simple. It reminds me of toddlers and how they say to give choices because they have no control. No control. You tell them everything, what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, all that. So if you give them choices like, here's your red shirt or your blue shirt, which one do you want? Do you want to walk inside or do you want mama to carry you inside? Like simple choices like that. Now, of course, they can still rebel and not be happy, and it doesn't work every time.
Right.
But it is shown to make them more cooperative, have them be happier. Like, they want choices too. And so you can almost make it, I feel like, as simple as that in your mind. Yeah. Be like, okay, I don't have much control, but I could do this or this.
Or that. Yes.
I can, even as simple as like, I'm feeling really sad today. What do I want to eat? Do I want this or this? Like, like you can put those choices.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And the Stoics.
What is Stoic?
Was a philosophy.
Okay.
There were people and there was right.
Okay.
And
so,
you
know what you're talking
about. Epictetus, that's a philosopher. And he came up with, this thing, people are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take on them. So it's my view of being stuck in an airport.
Yeah.
That shifts.
Yes.
It's the view of that screaming toddler.
Yeah.
That shifts. It's the, it can irritate us. It can still bother. But what we do, and one of the things is, if we focus, something happens. And all we focus is on what we wish to happen, what we want, what we demand,
you just get more.
You spiral, right? Yeah. And that comes versus stopping and going, okay.
Don't think about,
let's
focus on other thoughts.
Looking at my choices.
Yeah.
Looking at different solutions. Yeah. Looking at different, and sometimes I know I get tunnel vision on things of what I want and the control. And why isn't it maybe me, maybe somebody else? Why aren't they doing that? If they would just do this or if this would just happen. And then I forget these wide choices that are really available.
Yes.
There was something I read. What was it? Beginners see all the possibilities. Experts see few.
Oh.
Because you know the answer.
Interesting.
And it's like beginners are exploring.
Yes.
And if we can remain beginners, we can explore.
And see more of the options.
And see the options.
Right.
And
versus thinking we know everything.
Right. And let go of the have to and this is what I want, this is what I envision. Sometimes there's a greater one.
I like I like that. It's hard and I am definitely somebody that enjoys the feeling of control. And I think it has almost more to do with the what ifs and feeling like I can have some control over what happens. But I mean, again, life goes in crazy directions. It's unplanned and it can go in ways that, as much as you try and fit a square and a peg, in a circular hole, it's not always going to work. And I found that, it is stepping back and being like, well, okay, what if I step back and see the whole picture, what's going on? What can I do different?
Think about, and I'm thinking about young, teenagers or whatever. What is a question that adults constantly ask?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? What's your next step? What are you going to do?
Oh.
And so well, I better know.
Right, have the answer
and
to
then,
the question.
What if I don't do that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what if
I didn't follow through with what I said, and that's seen as a bad thing.
And then I start one course through college or technical school, whatever, and that's not really it. Oh no, failure.
Change.
But that's not it. Change and I.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I know.
It's kind of a societal thing as well as the fact that we all want to be in control, but it's reinforced in different ways.
It is.
To go, well, that's okay.
I know. I sometimes personally try and think of other questions to ask people. And I know you do this. I know you very personally don't really ask people very often what they do or what
they're
doing.
Planning to do,
or anything, or what their job is, or that sort of, because it can change and be unplanned and yeah.
So I just think and I came across the serenity prayer.
Yes. Okay.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can. And wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying each one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace.
I love it.
And I think that's one of the things is when we're so tight on how we want things to be, we can miss the moment.
Yeah.
And maybe the other opportunities that are there for us, or just the engagement of people.
Right.
While you're waiting, when I was waiting at that airport,
yes,
there was a family with a little baby and and engaging with them.
Yeah,
I could have been mad and just not
but
they were having a hard time too. If I think I'm standing by myself, they're trying to do duties with this shifting with the baby.
Oh yeah,
and I think you miss those.
You do. And for everybody else who heard Serenity Prayer and thought Serenity Now, I was too.
Seinfeld, Serenity Now. Yes.
And so instead you can think about this prayer.
But yes, I know. Yes. But
yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, you miss those other moments and stuff. And I love my favorite line probably in all that is the wisdom to know the difference. To know, because sometimes it can be hard. You can think that you have control of something, but it does take wisdom to really know. You really can only control you and what's inside you.
Well,
that's it.
And sometimes the hardest thing to do is in those moments is waiting.
Oh, so much waiting. Yes.
Action doesn't have to take right away. I envision a little waiting place in me. It's a little waiting room, It's a little womb looking thing or something. I don't know. But anyway, it's a place where I can't move forward right now.
Yeah.
And if I would, it wouldn't be really good.
It wouldn't be the right direction.
Yes. Yeah. I've taken jobs because you have to have a job. You got to get work. Yeah, I could wait.
Yeah.
But inside of me couldn't. And so it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Not the worst thing happened. I learned. I mean, we learn from everything. Yeah. But if we want to. Yeah. But, it's those type of things.
Yeah.
Where
I like that. Envisioning
just kind of wait. And then, okay, let me examine. Sometimes options will come that you never saw.
Yeah. Or if you had jumped the gun and done something else.
Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Get your mind off. Open up your mind. Exercise shows to do that. Yeah. If you take your mind
movement,
movement, creativity, go play an instrument, go do it shifts your brain and your thinking and creativity. And so
definitely.
I don't know. I find that to be helpful.
Yeah.
To just
definitely
wait.
Yeah. And we'll make sure to post that and share that Serenity Prayer. So if
we'll do that. And there's a couple of other links. Yeah.
People take a line from it and make that their mantra. For a little bit.
There's this other thing I found. I'm just going to read a couple quick things. 15 things you can't control. I'm not going to go through all 15. This is on Tiny Buddha. I'll leave that. Out for you. I'll put the link.
But it has a good list of stuff.
Yeah. You can't control how other people see you. We're so image conscious. I don't care how much you try. Or, when I was in that interview, I can't help if they don't want to, You can't control how other people treat you.
Yeah.
But you can control how you internalize and respond to their treatment. So
That's
you do have a choice there, right?
Yeah.
You can't control whether other people like you. You can control how true you are to yourself.
Yeah.
You can't control other people internalize things you say and do.
Yeah.
You know,
you can control your intent.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, and you can't control what happens to other people. Wouldn't that be nice if we could?
So good.
You know, but you can control how you show up.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Or things in the past.
You can't
How do we try to contrel the past? But you know, we've
Some
all
people
been
try.
there
Some people
at
try.
one point or another. If I could
Yeah.
just change. Yeah, I love this one. You can't control your body aging. You can control how well you take care of your body and how you think about it.
That's good.
You know, so, and you can't control all aspects of our health. We get sick, things happen to us, but we can control
resting,
how we do, taking the best care we can, and how we respond to that. So there's a lot of things.
Yeah, it's a good list. So we'll definitely link it because everybody should read through it. Because it says everything each time. It says what you can't control, but then it tells you what you can. Like the opposite.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and you can't control the inevitability of you getting hurt.
Yep.
Right?
In any way.
Right, but you can control how you treat yourself when you are hurt. You know? So there are, so when I think of letting go of control, maybe look, the other way that I would like to look at it is opening myself up to choices.
Yeah.
Opening up myself to the unfolding of the boat that goes in the river, and I have no idea what's propelling it. Something deeper than the eye sees is moving that boat. Yeah. And yes, I'm sure there's science stuff that tells with the undercurrent.
Yes, but I'm
talking. We can't see the undercurrent.
Yeah, that is true.
I can't see those the steward and stewardesses that volunteer. I didn't see what was happening elsewhere, but something moved them to go, you know what? It's Christmas. We'll take this other shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't have to. So you don't know.
You don't know.
And I just,
I like that. Yeah. Not letting go. You don't think about it as letting go of control. You're opening yourself up to choices. I like it.
That we don't see and can't see all the time. Definitely. And that's living into the mystery. It's a whole nother thing. But I love that when I can let myself live into the mystery, means I don't have to have the answers.
Yes.
And I allow things to flow and unfold.
Yeah.
And trust God, the greater universe, love, whatever you want to call that other. Yeah.
I love it. And next week we'll kind of get into that a little bit.
Spirituality.
Because we'll talk a little bit of the spirituality aspect of when things don't go as planned, this letting go of control, this personal growth, this hard, all that kind of some spirituality of that, maybe a couple practices, kind of get into that for you guys. Yeah.
All right. So,
and also, this, we're continuing to have meditations posted on our Patreon page. So make sure to become a member. It's not very much, like $2 a month if you want. And then you can also follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on YouTube, all of the stuff. And we'd like to, have you engage with us.
Look forward to next Tuesday when we take a breath and take a listen.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of An Incomplete Guide to Personal Growth. There are many ways you can stay connected. Follow us on Instagram at An Incomplete Guide Podcast, where you can sign up for our email list and get posts that delve deeper into our weekly topics. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast page wherever you listen to your podcasts. We would really appreciate a rating and sharing us with your family and friends.
We're so glad you chose to spend your time with us and hope there was a thought, a resource, or a laugh that you can take on your journey. We'll be here every Tuesday for you to take a breath and take a listen.